So good morning and thank you for joining us on this panel, Walking the Sustainability Talk. In the next hour, we will be focusing on how an intensifying sustainability focus in impacting business operations and travel and how suppliers can help meet responsible objectives. So leading this conversation are three topic. Chooleng Goh, General Manager of the Athenee Hotel, a luxury collection. And I've got Barbara Ewals, Executive Director for the Initiative for Global Resilience. And I have Amarnath Lal Das, Vice President, India Travel Meetings and Events, Accenture Solutions India. Okay, there will be time for an audience Q&A in the later part of the session, but for now, I'll just get a conversation going, yeah? Okay, I'm going to do a bit of a spiel here, so bear with me. Now, mounting importance placed on responsible climate actions by governments and intensifying consumer expectations of sustainable corporate behavior have led more companies to take their climate strategy more seriously. In recent conversations with South Pole, so South Pole is a global climate strategy specialist. I learned that 60% of Asian consumers are looking at sustainability as part of their purchasing decisions. So at the same time, the number of companies in the Asia-Pacific region disclosing their environmental impact have also grown fivefold between 2016 and 2021. So that actually highlights how important sustainability is for both the consumer and the corporate commercial side. So let's begin with the discussion. We start first with Amarnath. The sustainability definition is very broad, right? United Nations identified 17 goals, including climate action, poverty elimination, gender equality as well. Will you give us a look into Accenture's sustainability strategy and which goals are central for your company?
So thanks for that question, and it's a very vast question actually. To sum it up is a little tough, but I just wanted to put a disclaimer here that the views expressed out here is my personal, because I represent India in particular and India travel and meeting and events. But I would be giving you a sneak peek into what Accenture is doing globally out there. I've got this inputs from our knowledge bank that we have out there. So thank you for that. So at Accenture, our promise is to deliver to the technology and human ingenuity. And there are few things which is greater promise than sustainability. It unlocks a new opportunity for our clients, our partners, and our people, and for the communities where we do business. Sustainability spans beyond environmental to social and governance issues, from transitioning to a zero carbon economy to human rights, inclusions, diversity. So we have made sustainability one of our greatest responsibility, not just because it's the right thing to do, but also because we believe that it is one of the most powerful forces for change in our generation. We embed sustainability into everything we do and with everyone we work with, creating more sustainable, affordable, reliable, and secure energy system for all. So, when we took up this task, we had various conversation around it, and our brainstorming team came up with a few strategies around it. And what we did was we bucketed the entire sustainability program of ours into 4 major categories: strategize, optimize, digitize, and influence. So main brainstorming comes from strategize, identify priority areas to reduce consumption and emission. How can I reduce energy cost without deploying scare capex? So that was another thing, because it's costing us more. How do we do that? How can I understand and address the biggest energy influence opportunities in our operations? So right from buildings that we have, how do we have green buildings? How do you use the green energy out there? How do we optimize the use of water, influence our people, kind of thing? Optimize, drive targeted optimization efforts to drive down the amount of energy used. How good is our facility, process management, compared to my competition and peers? Would outsourcing my energy management create a significant cost savings? So these were the 2 things that we are working on optimize. Digitization is another major area of where you actually have a lot of optimization on this carbon footprint, especially use of paper, excess use of papers. You want to eliminate that. And we started that gain efficiency improvement by embracing digitization. How do I get an end-to-end real-time view of energy performance across my operations and apply artificial intelligence to drive the rapid improvement? And then influence. That is something that requires a big change. It requires a human habit change kind of a thing. So in influence, promote awareness and the tools people need to reinforce behavioral change and be more energy efficient. How can I engage my employees and my customers in understanding the energy challenge and improve the relationship in our energy use? So that's a broad aspect of what we're doing globally. We do have certain data points, but in my, later part of the discussions, I'll more focus on what we are doing, especially in terms of travel, technology, and meeting and events.
Super. Thank you for the introduction, Amarnath. Barbara, you represent a very interesting organization, Initiative for Global Resilience. On your website, your stated goal is to make the world a better place for all. It's a very broad goal, right? Can you tell us more about what Initiative for Global Resilience does, and how is resilience defined here, and what your observations are regarding public and corporate sentiments around sustainability?
Is this okay? Hi, thank you for that. Thank you to IT&CMA for the invitation to speak. I4GR, the acronym of our organization, we're actually our partner. We go through, we advance partnership strategies to solve global issues, and on resilience and on sustainability. We work mostly with government and civil society, so associations and international organizations like the UN, in furthering their resilience strategies, for, let's say, to have use more their resources more efficiently, network and meet like-minded individuals to scale their actions, their sustainability actions. And we also put forward position papers on policy changes. So that's why most of our work is on that. So in terms of the public, I think you have the slides for, are you showing the slides? Oh. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. So more and more, we're seeing a lot of really awareness on the public on sustainability, resilience strategy. By the way, for your question on resilience, it's really more adaptation issues of how we adapt, especially on disaster risk. So mitigation and more on management for after, during, and after disasters. So as you see, the current climate for the public, especially the traveling public, is very high. So everybody wants to be intentional in the way that they go about with their travel. So 41% wants to reduce their impact, 33% wants to do a more locally relevant experience, and 31% believe that sustainable properties treat the community better. And the next one would be, and more importantly, like 71% travel more sustainably. So a lot of properties really need to up their game here in how they are working towards their goals, towards their environment, towards their local community. And so it's a great thing that we see right now. Like everybody's now more intentional. It pushes also the corporate side, and it pushes the government side to enact more policies for the corporate side to be also intentional. And so I think it's a great way that everybody is now trying to align on the 2030 agenda.
Okay, Chooleng, the Athenee Hotel is the first hotel in the world to achieve ISO 2012. So, this accreditation is for sustainable meeting practices, right? Can you tell us more about this accreditation and what is the hotel sustainability approach beyond its meetings operations?
Thank you, Karen, for your invitation and a very warm welcome to the Athenee Hotel. Maybe I'll do this. So I just press down. Yeah, okay. So before I talk about our story at the Athenee Hotel, I want to address what Barbara just said. We had a Marriott International GM conference only last week, and these data just reconfirm everything. So sustainability is not a niche anymore. It is serious, and we all have to be a lot more responsible. So please allow me to tell the story of the Athenee Hotel. So sustainability to me and the hotel was very new 10 years ago. I had the opportunity to attend a conference by Thailand Convention Bureau, or TCEP as known, and they invited a very inspiring speaker, which after listening to him, I said, we have to do something. The world is changing, and it starts from now. So because of that, in 2012, we prepare for this ISO 2012 one. So inspiration comes from the London Olympics, where they converted the whole Olympics with 100% reused items. We prepare for our first hotel accreditation. So in 2013, we did that. It's a lot of energy, repurpose, and things like that for events hall, like you said. But it doesn't stop there. So I wanted to show you what we have transformed since then. So, oh, yeah, it's down, but, oh, okay. All right. So it started with over 1,000 of meetings, sustainable setup. So without tablecloth, without only glass bottles and things like that. Okay, that started in 2013. And then we continue with setting up a water recycle system in the hotel. In Thailand, unlike Singapore where we come from, water is like gold. Yes, in Thailand, water is quite available. However, coming from a Singapore DNA, I believe we have to recycle water. Although it doesn't cost that much, but it is the right thing to do. So we set up 30% of our water is actually recycled. That goes to the flush tank and to the plants. Then what we have done in 2014, we prepared what we wanted to do is to remodel or renovate the hotel. And when you renovate a hotel or you remodel it to a new brand, there's always a lot of waste. So what we have worked with the designer team is to actually pick up a lot of furnitures. How do we repurpose it, adding luxury to it? It's not cheaper, but it's not throwing away unnecessary. So I think we've done reasonably great job, and we even got an award for the Best Sustainable Hotel Design Award that year with a designer. So then continue moving forward. In 2016, we wanted to purchase directly to farmers. Reason why is consuming organic product or staying healthy is a very important factor. And I'm sure everyone realized that after 2.5 years of pandemic. Why do we have all these issues? It's a lot of chemicals unnecessary that is coming into the world. So starting to look after your health comes from what you consume. So we started with a rice project. Thailand is over 50% of the population agriculture, but sadly only single-digit organic. So meaning everyone here are consuming chemical every day. I call that poison. You're not going to die tomorrow, but you're consuming it daily, and one day it will affect you. Whether you have cancer, you have all these side issues, it's all coming from what we consume. So me as a hotel, or we consume because more than 60-70% of my revenue is actually coming from food and beverage. So what we select as a hotel for you to consume is our responsibility. So we start off by purchasing directly from the farmers to keep the cost low, because the last thing we want is to put up the cost to you. And what we have transformed now is we are slowly moving to fruits, vegetables. So hopefully one day I can declare, please be safe, 100% of my product is organic. So we started with the rice, and we deliver like 2 tons of rice. We eat a lot of rice in the hotel, 2 tons per month. So that's a lot. And we help started with this family of farmers. They have a small community of 20 over people in the community that do organic, and now there are 700 people continuing to deliver. So another initiative is we heard of the skip the straw. Is part of not using straws and as one-off use, or even bottles of water. Plus that year we changed 100% of LED. So LED costs money. Skipping the straw doesn't cost. LEDs cost money. So it took us from a transformation of renovation 3-4 years before we did 100%, which is fine. It's step by step. Next story. Okay, so we continue with our food waste journey. So food waste we measure by preparation waste and your plate waste. And it's measuring internal, and we don't measure gas. We just encourage gas. So we received the first hotel to be zero waste, in the sense of like we pledge to get a 5-star. So it's not 0-0 as per se, but if you hit around 90, you get a 5-star pledge. And we were the only hotel. And we are going to do a renewal this year. Then last but not least, we talk about skilling our associates. That's part of the education, and also this is a bottle of water. So in my hotel, water is bottled water. Plastic bottles to bottled water now is 99% gone, plastic. Only 1% of the hotel consumption is plastic. And the reason is because it's for limousine and cars, of safety reason. Nowhere else you can find plastic. So this is me talking in forum to share practices. I think sustainability is a lot of sharing and amplifying the importance of it, and this part of education. It is a hardcore topic. People always find it too complicated. It's too hard to do. And I also want to declare my hotel is not brand new. It's 22-year-old. It's more about you step by step to continue to do the right thing, and one day we'll achieve. So it's a 10-year journey. So feel free, I have sustainable storybooks that tell the story of the hotel. But even better, you can take the QR code from here and you can have an update constantly of the news story. That's my journey. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Chooleng. Now, in the public space, sustainability conversations have intensified over the course of the pandemic, and I'm now curious how this impacts companies' decisions around sustainability. Amarnath, do you see your company's sustainability focus sharpening, similarly over the last 2 years, and has it impacted its sustainability approach to travel and events?
You're right. Most of the organizations have speeded up in last couple of years, and pandemic was a boon in disguise for them. Many of them got, but we started our journey a little earlier in this, and most of the things that we benchmark ourselves is 2016. We've taken though we started working on it somewhere around 2012-13. Then we benchmark ourselves on 2016, and basis that we are comparing how we are growing and doing. We've already come close to 50% or more in most of the things that we've done so far. So, use of green energy, sustainable workplace, a few things that we started very early. Other things that we started doing was eliminating plastics. So again, plastics from my meeting rooms, in any events that we use, we stopped using it. No more plastic bottles. It's either glass bottles or you have dispensers placed, which you use it kind of a thing. We eliminated use of plastic even in terms of cutleries, single-use plates, plastic cutleries, everything we just gave up overnight kind of a thing, sometimes in 2016, 17. So there is no use of plastics or things. We also, moved on to removing the paper, or there are plastics used into it, and the posters that we used to have. So digital was another thing so we've moved everything onto the digital platform and eliminated all standees and posters from the earlier ones which we were using. So again, single use of plastic papers is gone. Another thing that we did was in our journey was, we saw there was lots of use of papers, and papers were single use and then dumped in. There was few statutory government norms that was putting us onto that spot, especially when GST was implemented into India. Then again, it was a complex process. We had to collect all those invoices, store it for us. So we digitized that. So we had our own tool developed, which is called IDG, is Invoice Digitization Tool. And because, the GST invoices that we were using, you were getting from various airlines were all in different shapes and size. It was, few were sending it transaction-wise on a PDF, few were sending an email, few were sending it paper kind of thing. So we moved everything into our IDG tool that collated the data, put it into meaningful data, and started working. It not only increased our efficiency, but reduced our truckloads of paper use that we had to store it. So that was a major achievement that we did. Another thing that we do, and I want to ask the audience out here, and I'm also one of the culprits, I encourage my people to travel paperless. How many of us who traveled here carried a e-ticket printout, passport copy printout, and hotel confirmation printout? I'm one of them who's still from the old schools, but we're encouraging people to avoid that, move completely digital. Now, in India in particularly, we had this challenge pre-COVID where you had to carry a paper printout or something to enter into the airport. Also, you had to had a paper boarding pass because boarding pass were stamped at the security. During the COVID, that was gone. So that's helped us encourage people go digital in that space, and that's how we are optimizing into travel meeting in event space out here.
Yes, the pandemic's move towards contactless everything actually helps with the
Yes.
reduction of waste, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's what I said, that it was, boon in a disguise form.
Yeah. The only thing now we struggle is the disposal of the
Mask.
mask. Yeah. Okay. Chooleng, what drives your company's sustainable actions? How much sway does public opinion has over your decisions on responsible operations?
That's a great question. Meeting organizer like Amarnath mentioned, a lot of corporate on stock exchange, everyone is number one question. Are you a sustainable practiced hotel? And once we share the story, it's almost like 99% done. It's a done deal. As long as the space is there, we don't even have to sell it. People are asking more and more, and they're not looking at lip service. They're looking at you're really, really practicing it. So when we talk about story, you can tell I'm very passionate, and my team are equally passionate. So yeah, it does. It does. Thank you for the question.
Good. Barbara, how does your organization's purpose of being influence the way it conducts events as well as plan for and approve official travel for staff and members?
I4GR, we advance a partnership solution to global problems, and that partnership means to network. Otherwise, how do you get new ideas and connect? So traveling is a part of what we need to do as to do our work properly. And so while we have become, ever since 2018, everything that we could do through online collaboration and online meetings, we do that. But in the end, it's really difficult because there are so many things that is imbibed upon during face-to-face meetings. So that's like what we call the power of the human touch.
Yeah.
It's just important because to meet a person, there are always a lot of things that can be discussed on a person-to-person meeting that's not really transported on a screen. So, like being intentional, we are intentional when we need to travel, and we make our travel work for us. So to paraphrase, um, spend money to make money. We have to spend carbon to gain carbon credits. So that's where we are.
Okay. Now, there are companies that expect their partners and vendors to share similar sustainability policies. Do you need your travel and event suppliers to be as sustainable as you are? Barbara, would you like to go first?
we we believe in influencing when we can. Just for a personal experience with I4GR, we were involved in a global series of meetings on food and agricultural sustainability. We were one of the knowledge provider, content provider for that. Now, as a rule, because we have a lot of, it was in partnership with FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, as well as WFP, the World Food Program. It was very intentional on our part when we designed this series of meetings that it was going to be full vegetarian. So it worked really, really well in Asia, in Europe, and in North America. But man, when we went to Brazil, there was a vehement protest against that. You know, they have the right to their meat. It cannot be vegetarian. So what we did was like try to encourage them to, okay, this is our platform, but in the end we are also working with the local communities there. So we had a compromise where in the last day would be vegetarians. They were thinking, and there's nobody there. So, but then after, and then because my background is actually hotel and restaurant, and I was a PCO before, so we made an intentional work with the F&B of the venue, and came up with a menu for this. And I was very happy to say that the people who attended that were pleasantly surprised that vegetarian options are edible. and so sure, this is an incremental change, but this is influencing other people in the hopes that, for me, like, so for the 300 bazillions who were attending that conference, hopefully it will be an intentional that maybe they can have vegetarian options in the menu in the future. And so we need to help in any way we can. So for us, more on influencing than actually like putting in our values with people, because that doesn't really translate well.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Amarnath, earlier you mentioned how you have eliminated the use of plastic bottles at your events, right? Is this a requirement when you are looking for a venue vendor that they must have all these basics in place? What are your requirements for your vendors?
Yeah, certainly it is one of the primary requirement. And, we do have a set of questionnaires for our business partners and we have a cutoff, qualifying mark for it. So even only if you qualify, we do empanel them. We do also, and we know that it's not an overnight thing that's going to happen. So we do, in the questionnaire, you have that, what are they doing? How are they doing? When will it be ready? Are we moving towards it? Is there a progress towards it, kind of a thing? We work, and my philosophy is, help your business partners and clients. For you to grow, for us to grow, we need to help them. So we do consult them, we do contribute a lot in that event space. Uh, it's not only plastic bottles and other stuffs. When we, and each, suppliers have a different set of questionnaires. If it's an airline, we check with them, what is your plan for a few more fuel efficient aircrafts? How do we reduce the carbon emission from an aircraft? What are they gonna to do, increasing the seat capacity, or rather, yesterday's talk, somebody was talking that they have a plan of downgrading themselves to reduce the, contribution to the carbon. So what are their plans to optimize that kind of a thing? How are they going to eliminate plastics from their in-flight, use? So, and for hotels, it is not only plastic bottles and other stuff. It's also like we check with them what are they doing on their lighting system. Okay, are they moving to complete LED to reduce the carbon emission? There are questions like, what are the plans for the use of detergent that happens? In a hotel, there's a huge use of detergent. How are they encouraging their clients or their guests to reuse the towel and other stuffs if it is? So there are various questions to various partners. For our car vendors, we have, what is the plan for EV? When are they bringing it? How are they going to do that? So we do have a set of questions designed for particular business, and there is a cutoff mark. And then few of them where we consult them that, okay, you're lagging behind, what are you going to push there, how are you going to achieve there? And we do contribute a lot in that. So that's a whole program that we've done.
Stay with me, Amarnath. I've got two more questions to build on that. So the first question is, have you had to strike certain vendors, travel vendors, off your list because they just fail to keep to their sustainability promise, or you realize that they're only doing it for you, but once your show is over, they go back to the non-green ways? And my second question is, now with air capacity not fully back, have you found yourself having to fly with a not so sustainable airline just because it's the only option to get there?
Yeah, so to first part, we haven't kicked off anybody so far, but we are educating and trying to influence them. Wherever they're lagging behind, we point it out to them and we give them time to come up to the speed out there. But there are certain complete no's, like in my event, I don't need a plastic bottle. That's very clear. So if the hotel says they are not equipped with a dispenser or with the glass bottles, especially for the leadership sessions, it's absolutely no. So there are few opportunities that few hotels would have lost out there. As regards to your question on to airlines, well, there are limited choice currently. And we all are in a compromise mode at this point of time. We still encourage people, and in a later part, I'll come back. What are we doing to know? So far, we were just taking carbon footprints, and it's a post-mortem. After you fly, you come to know that, oh, you contributed so much. We're moving a step ahead in that, which I'll cover in the next question.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, do you measure and offset emissions from your travel and events, and how do you go about this process? Do you think there should be a default offering by all travel and event supplier? Barbara, what do you think?
Offset.
Is it a tough action?
No, it's at the being diplomatic about it. It's problematic. Being being blunt about it, there are some that it's a scam. It's really, first of all, a big problem with carbon offset is the question of additionality. So what is additionality? It means that you're actually adding more offset on what's available than what was there before. But there are certain carbon offsets where, number one, how the accounting of the offset was calculated, very, very, very problematic, number one. Number two, there are certain things that, there are offsets that are being sold to things that it's not likely going to happen anyway. Like, for example, there are organizations selling carbon offsets on forests, and that if you don't contribute, these trees will be cut down. for sure they're reserves. They will not be cut down. So what are you selling here? The imagined availability of these trees being cut down. And 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 finally, you know, since there was already a calculation that since pre-industrial revolution to now, our footprint has been 4,000 times more. There is no area in the world where you can build this much trees. It's just none. And the thing is, there's a lot of organizations that if you see, like, you know, because this is UN Global Compact agreement with the with corporate for the corporate world to get to net zero, and a lot of that is you know, the thing is there are organizations that think that they could buy credits to get to net zero by 2030. And that is really problematic because people need to work on their emissions. That is really a key determining factor, not the kind of offset that you buy. Because more and more, these offsets are not really reliable in so many ways. So, no. And also, it's kind of us being humans, we want to believe that this offset works, right? Who doesn't want to buy two US dollar offset to offset my travel? Nobody. We would want to do it. But the problem is, does it work? And more, Bloomberg law put in a paper just 2 months ago. And looking at all these carbon offset organizations, it's more and more, they really do not deliver what they say they deliver. So invest more on your emissions than thinking that you can buy offset to gain carbon credits.
So take action on your own rather than spend money on hope, right? Spend. So you were talking about measuring and also offsetting, Amarnath.
So I'll come to that measuring and offsetting, but I just wanted to continue from the previous question. You talked about the vendors doing it only for us, the suppliers doing it only for us and going back. It's the other way around. They're learning from us and they're selling it to the new clients. So it's benefiting them as well. So they are cooperating. It's not that they're going back on that. On the carbon emission, yes, so we started our journey on calculating carbon emission contributed by travelers sometimes in 13, 14. But it was a post-mortem. So after you travel, you get to know what was the carbon emission based on the travel reports that we have. We calculate the carbon emission, separate things done for business class, it's separate economy, it's separate because you have more space in business class, so you occupy more space of the aircraft. So there is a difference in that. So, and though it's technical, because even if you don't fly that aircraft, the aircraft is gonna do, you know. So you're right. It's little vague to calculate, but we calculate only if you have contributed, you know. If you have not flown, then it doesn't. So we started doing that, and we started publishing in individual portals, so I can see what was my carbon footprint when I travel and what was my peers. So it also, you know, if I'm emissioning more, if I'm contributing more, then, you know, there's a guilt feeling and you start working around it. But there was a flip side of it. Somebody who was contributing less, they said, oh, I have so much, you know, I can contribute little more. So that's on a lighter note, but yes, there were talks like that I have very little carbon emission contribution, so I think I can fly more, kind of a thing. We're taking a step ahead in that. From post-facto to pre. So we are developing this. This is still in process of development. Most likely by 2025, we should have that in our booking tool. So when you do a search engine today and find out flight, it gives you the fare. It will also give you what will be the carbon emission contribution based on the fuel efficiency aircraft that will be operating. Okay, so it comes upfront for you. This way we have, you know, a threshold for a fare, because most of us in corporate use the lowest logical option, but we built in a threshold so that, you know, if there is between $50 or $100, you can go to the next level of your preferred carrier because you would have a privilege program and stuffs like that. Similarly, we will be developing, when we start giving the carbon emission contribution for that particular aircraft, we will build in a threshold out there. So even if it is the lowest fare and it has more carbon emission, you can go up for a lesser carbon emission because we have to overall spend it. So that's the whole plan. We've almost through that. Most likely, we could little advance it. I'm not too sure, but our teams are working around it, kind of thing. We're also putting similar things from the hotel, okay? Taking the data from the hotels, most of the chain hotels, they are supplying us the data. We are putting that on the hotels also. So when you search hotel, it'll tell you what would be your contribution based on the hotel's, design, based on the hotel's lighting, and also in the car rental space. So car rental EV, we are more promoting onto it. Very few are there to support us at this point of time. But even if we are using an IC engine car, you will know what would be the carbon contribution based on the kilometer you have done. So that's all in the development. So we are moving from postmortem to knowing it in advance and consciously contributing it.
That's a great move. I know within the leisure tourism space, there are some online travel agencies that are also putting a sustainable mark on options that are more green, right? So it's good to see that also being implemented in the business travel space. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay. Chooleng, how are your customers regarding your hotel's messages about being sustainable? Do they want to know all about what you're doing to be responsible, or do they expect this to be a default offering that does not require particular song and dance?
Okay, thank you for the question. We never do enough about PR or market our sustainability effort, and I know we all know that. Whilst Amarnath's company is very focused and they know what they want, a lot of companies, they know they have to do it by corporate guidance, but they actually don't know what to expect when they're at the hotel. So we encourage them, we know traveling is a lot of waste. When you travel, you can see buffet waste, carbon for traveling, and food waste. So how do we help them? What we help them is we give them options. So, in events like that, when you're organizing, you never know how much or how little food you order. And first thing is the food waste at the buffet. So we work locally with like SOS, Scholars of Sustenance, to donate the food or repurpose the food, and they are part of the donation and they felt good about it. So to the local orphans or to any temple, they actually could choose what they want to donate. So we give them options of how you could be more sustainable and they can report back. So yeah, we encourage them. So some companies like Amarnath, which will be very focused on, they know what they want to do, but a lot of companies, they don't. And we guide them to that.
Good option there. Barbara, would you like to see the travel and tourism industry do more to contribute to sustainable and a resilient world? Are there useful case studies in industry partnerships that our industry can learn from?
Definitely. Having been working in the hotel before and PCO before, this industry is very close to my heart, and in a way, the work that I4GR does is also a lot of meetings, a lot of networking. So if there is one thing that I would really hope that the travel and tourism industry would really pay attention to is really diminishing the use of single-use plastics. Especially for the resort, seaside resort properties, they're in the forefront of this. Plastic pollution in the oceans is really a horrible way right now, and we need plastics, definitely. I mean, our food is maintained. The lifespan of the food is maintained because of plastics. I mean, if there was no plastics, how do we feed people? So it's really, we need it, but maybe lessen on those that are single use. So that's the most important one that I guess that the industry could do. Take away those that are single use, use more that are reusable, and plastics. Only 10% are recycled, and more importantly, less than 10% are recycled and can be recycled. So all these recycling, if you really look at the bottom of how the things are recycled, it's really not recyclable. So single-use plastic, definitely move to more multi-purpose plastic use. That would be one of the things. I work with a lot of frameworks for the SDGs. So the SDGs have a series of frameworks that are contributing to it. Where one closest to I4G's heart is the Sendai framework, which is on disaster risk reduction. But there's also the Paris Agreement. There's the Addis Ababa Agreement on poverty alleviation. So there are all these agreements, and we have received a report from UNDESA and also from the goalkeepers report of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that all is down. We are not going to hit our targets. And so the Secretary General has put in the 2020 to 2030 as the decade of action, because we have only, now it's less than 10 years to go about. So yes, where we could affect this is really make a dent on this is more reduction on emission, also very big single-use plastic. Now for case studies and partnerships, I was fortunate enough to be part of a consortium that delivered what we call nature-based solutions to SIDS, small island developing states. So from that resort, from the resorts part of those states, of those islands, ADB gave a grant for us to do a POC, proof of concept. Meaning, because all these ideas on sustainability and resilience cannot be put into action if there is no proof of concept. And so we are fortunate enough to be able to trial some nature-based solutions with this. This was work with UN Habitat and the small islands states associations on the resort to put in input from the International Association of Landscape Architects. So clearly, there's synergies to be worked up here. So, like for example, if the Hotel and Resort Association would work with the International Association of Landscape Architects into designing sustainable landscapes, then these kinds of networking and partnership would really scale action and move us forward. So yes, these things are important. We need to stop looking on our own silos and try to engage other like-minded associations that you have synergy of purpose. And there will be really, really good actions that could come out from that.
Thank you so much. Now, we are quite close to the end of the session, so I'm going to set some time out for questions from the audience. If you've got any questions for our panelists. Got Ajay has a question over there.
Thank you very much for great insight about the sustainability. I think sustainability right now, if you see a lot of industry, they are working for the sustainability. It is called the sustainability growth. And it has three legs. One is a society, and the second is the economical, and the third is the environment. I need to understand from all three panelists, one by one, is possible, give some insight how you people are associated with the society and how you people are working with the environment, how you people are working with for the growth of the economy, whether you have some yardstick or right now you are in the stage of conceptualization, and I need to understand how you people are working for the execution and the monitoring part also.
Chooleng, you want to go
Sure.
ahead first? Yeah.
No problem. Thank you. So the Athenee Hotel is part of Marriott International, and we announced last year that we're going to be net zero with a greenhouse gas emission by 2050. Okay, it's not 2030, but that's a goal. Travel business, hotel business is definitely not the most sustainable business in the world. However, to announce this, we have to work very closely with our suppliers mainly, right? Apart from behavior change in the hotel. So that we have three folds. The first fold we talk a lot today is on one-time plastic use, okay? One-time plastic use with straw, bottle of water. And another thing that we're addressing is actually the nightly amenities you use in the bathroom. It sends shivers to me that every day we have to throw that one-off use of shampoo. And even luxury level, we are changing it to residence by end of the year. So hopefully, as much as possible, every initiative we do is to contributing to a better world. Second part, we talk a lot about food. Food is very important for part of this industry. So how do we support food? No food waste is helping the environment, but what is more important is looking after the society, especially I'm living in a country of Thailand, very, very fortunate. We have so many farmers we can work with, contributing to a better lifestyle. We are not helping them only. You know, people think, oh, you are helping the farmers. I said, no. We are helping the farmers or supporting the farmers so that they support a better food quality, which is organic. When there's a demand for organic, there will be more contribution to organic farming. It is a very tough work to do organic farming. That's another story for another day. So, and consumers like all of us here could consume these foods. So all these will contribute to be a better livelihood for all these, which contributes to society. In terms of energy, what do we do in hotels? We do, of course, the electricity or LED lighting. EV is a very important part. So in terms of limousine, we're moving towards EV vehicle for our transportation. But most of the hotels, we partner with PTT Oil locally to do an EV station. So really encouraging priority car park, and you can charge your vehicle when you're at the hotel. So these are initiatives, hopefully, to contribute a better world. So it's not one hotel like myself, it's all Marriott International should contribute to that. Thank you.
And Barbara?
Like I said, I4GR, we really work on partnership strategies. And that's what most of the time we provide platforms for networking. But more importantly, there is where we have a call to action to organizations like associations or private sector and government agencies like to contribute. All countries have to do a VNR, which is the voluntary national report. Every year during the HPF, the High Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development at the UN, every September, there is some countries are asked to report on their sustainability actions, and all organizations, of course, you work in countries, right? You need to be able to contribute and to connect with these government agencies that are doing this reporting. Reporting is very important. People think that it's it's a hassle, it's a waste. But we don't have data. We cannot make concrete actions on the things that we do. So become a contributor to your country's VNR. That's number one. Number two, I've helped associations become members of ECOSOC. ECOSOC is the part of the UN system where it encourages civil societies, NGOs to be able to engage with the UN directly. Now, if you're not a member of that, you cannot engage with the UN directly. So there are a lot of things that a lot of associations could really contribute in the sustainability sphere. So contribute and engage. So engage with the UN especially, they cannot engage directly with corporates. They can only engage with associations or civil society. So as corporate associations can be members of ECOSOC. And for me, having been in the private sector for most of my life before I moved into the NGO space, I feel that during negotiations, corporates are really left out. Like if you attend the COP meetings, the Conference of Parties meeting, that's where we discuss climate change and sustainable development. WBSCD, which is the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, they're invited, but during the negotiations, they're not invited. So obviously business has a lot to contribute. I always encourage business organizations to contribute, and if it takes for the association to be able to engage with ECOSOC and with the UN, why not? Because that's the only way you could contribute. And then as a standalone organization, as a standalone business corporate organization, you can be a member of the UN Global Compact. So that's one directly corporations could be a member, and then you could also do your pledges for your net zero pledge and all of that. So there are ways to do this. So hopefully engage.
Thank you.
Yeah, from our side, I would say we do have a well-defined goals and progresses. I'm not publishing it because it's an internal document, but I can call out few things where we are and what we have. So our target to achieve our first milestone is in 2025. And that's why we said that our, to start giving proactively the contribution that you would be contributing in travel. We are developing that, and most likely, hopefully, will come. Like meet our science-based target, reduce absolute green gas energy emission by 11% in the first phase. Second phase is 40%, and third phase is 65%, based on our baseline of 2016 that we were doing. We are already 65% reduced into that. Net zero emission by 2025, 100% in renewable energy. Reduce 90% of our key suppliers to disclose their environmental targets, actions, and reduce the emission by 2025. We are already 53% renewable energy within our facilities. 58% of our suppliers do disclose their thing even now. Okay. Supplier diversity, our first target was to have at least 250 diverse suppliers. We are already reached 196 of them. Ethics and compliance within our organization, which is very priority number one. The target was to be 90% of our people doing it. We are already 99% onto it. Now, women in workforce, 50% was the target by 2025. We are already 46% women in workforce. Leadership women in the workforce, we had a target of 30% of the leaders and the managing director sectors. We are already 27% into it. We have another thing, race and ethnicity. So we do have targets for each geographies, what will be the black contribution in our community, even in the leadership and even in our workforce kind of a thing. And we have various things benchmarked out there, and we are tracking it. There is a governance team working around it, and it's been taken very seriously from our end.
Thank you.
Yeah, RJ, that was a good question actually.
One more
Yeah,
question
go
I need
ahead.
to add.
Yeah.
I think sustainability is a transformation project for every corporate or the industry. How the CSR project and the sustainability project is working, is it under the umbrella of CSR or is it different project and it is a synchronized with the CSR project?
Yep. Who wants to go for that? Barbara has got a mic now.
Sorry. Okay. CSR, that is normally because it's CSR of certainly of private organizations normally under the public affairs, so it's more of a PR scheme. So I would suggest to corporates to really drop that terminology and work more into like stakeholder engagement, those kinds of things, because CSR is self-serving term, unfortunately, and it is it's creating what we call in the industry greenwashing action. So like looking to be climate friendly, but actually the the results of that is really minimal, or so it's more publicity. So I would suggest corporates stay away from that term, and and more do community engagement, because that's more meaningful work than CSR.
Yeah. Actually, Ajay, I just wanted to say that that's a good question. The first question, our second question is good as well. But it allows us to point out that, sustainability is actually a very broad term. It's not just green stuff and not just, energy saving or emissions reduction, which we had to focus on on that because it's just a 1 hour. But if we were to expand the entire conversation to cover the whole sustainability topic, we could be talking about diversity. So thank you
can
for
talk a lot
talking about
the-
diversity achievements. Yeah,
So
and
just
also
I wanted to tell a second question. CSR is a very small part of sustainability. Okay, it was a big piece in yesteryears, but it's a very small part of sustainability. Now it will come after your sustainability, whatever carbon footprint, if you want to offset and how you want to do it, that might be taken over. And it's a very small part. So they are two different verticals. They are two different verticals. Sustainability is well-focused vertical. CSR is another vertical. Yes. So CSR would be, sustainability would be a part of CSR. There would be other things also under that CSR, but sustainability is a separate vertical altogether.
Maybe I just
Yeah.
also chip in. Thank you for the question. CSR, I'm really with my colleagues here. Definitely something as a corporation, when we do something, it has to be sustainable, even a CSR. Example, is a one-off donation to an orphanage or a youth good. Yeah, it's not bad, but will be better to give them education, and then we take them as their future trainees and education and a career. So it's something like that. Farmers the same. Is it one-off donation? They don't want donation from us. They want a livelihood, a sustainable livelihood that they could do that for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So yeah, one part of it, but really want to be sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you for the great questions. We have run out of time, have we, Lynette? Yeah? 12 o'clock. Okay. Oh, but there's one question there.
Afraid if my question may be as complicated as you all agree that sustainability is in itself a complicated issue, especially in terms of our travel industry. The ground reality, when we look at it, you all are making great efforts at an individual level. But if you look at the ground reality, I mean, how much sustainability is working in our travel industry? If you look at the ground reality, all the world over there are floods and storms. There are more bigger planes coming in. The government is not taking any initiative and building up a more usable public transportation. There are more cars. So if we look at the ground reality, I mean, how much sustainability works, especially in the travel industry?
Well, that's a key question to everybody, and not only with the corporate. It also lies with the government. It also lies with the individual. More importantly, it starts with an individual, comes to the corporate and government. There are various inputs gone to the government as well to see how things can be improved faster. If you see in India in particular, vehicles changing standard to V6 now, and EV being promoted more, two-wheelers being pushed to EVs, and those things are coming, the input that goes from the corporate. We work to do what we can contribute. There are few things which is in our control, we do that. Few things which is not in our control, but if we can contribute by saying the right folks how to do it and to help us, we do that our part, but doing it is individual's responsibility. And more importantly, each individual is responsible for contributing it to whatever, sustainable growth that we are talking about.
Exactly, I agree. And as Barbara Ewals mentioned, that you have to be, to an extent, a bit diplomatic approach when you have to contact the government. Like one example, I would say personal experience. If you take a skywalk from Central World going towards Amari Watergate, you see a restaurant with a huge board saying sharks fin soup for sale. I mean, everybody is looking at it, but there we are. And all the environmental agency, the Greenpeace, they are making a lot of fuss about killing the shark for the fin soup. And there we are, right in front of you. So it's a very scary scenario that here we are talking about sustainability and all these things on the ground. Really, it's on the contrary. If I may please say a personal experience about now coming to the travelers like us, sustainability of our travel. With all due respect, Ms. Chooleng Go, I've been writing to you to help me for a couple of nights of accommodation since I came a bit early. And then I follow up on the LinkedIn as well. I don't see your reply. So is it a bit irresponsibility on your PR part, like as you said that your PR is not doing enough efforts? So is there a sincere effort in us in trying to be sustainable to our partners, to actually be sustainable, or are we just going to sit and talk and about our individual level? What we are doing on sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. And indeed, I've been traveling a lot. And when there's a request for a sponsor stay, it takes a little bit of governance to it. So it's not only my authority, there's a governance. So maybe we could do a better job to respond you faster. And but all this needs governance, and it takes a while, right? Thank you for your question about what's happening and shark's fins, all this into the face. The thing is, in the world, we all expect someone to save our world. I'm all in for, it starts from us, right? So definitely if it starts from our daily, rather than seeing government definitely needs to do a lot of things, but there are a lot of reasons why they are not doing it, or they are doing it, but it's taking some time to do it. So instead of focusing what we can't do in life, I always focus on what we could already do in life. And it starts from, if not now, then when, right? So parting, I would really like everyone to engage is like, we're not aiming for a perfect world. As long as today is a better day than yesterday, I'm already happy. Thank you.
Just one more thing. What the hoteliers can do. I mean, I've been suggesting talking with the GMs and the owners of the hotel about the food wastage topic, which is a big issue. Tons of food has been wasted, especially on the buffet table, where people. I blame the consumer that why do they take so much food on the plate that they can't eat and then they throw it away. I don't know what kind of people they are. They don't even realize so many people are dying of hunger, and then they do this food wastage. So I make a suggestion to the hotel industry that why not you make a nice letter of management in the rooms that please, we are very much concerned about food wastage. If anyone found leaving the food on the plate, you'll be fine in a nice way. But I'm surprised, most of my friends, they say that no, we can't do it because they pay us.
Okay.
It is very disappointing.
No, I understand.
You don't have to go to the government or anybody to do it. You have to do it yourself. Just nice, sweet words, a letter of management.
Okay, punishment is definitely
No, not punishment. You don't have to sound. You don't have to sound like a punishment. You have to sound with the concern, the global issue, the food wastage. So please take so much that you can eat.
Yeah.
And if they don't do it, yes, they have to pay the fine.
which is a kind of a
It is a punishment.
I would
It's
say
only a
it's a
penalty,
punishment,
right?
but I would say, and that's where I started. It's an individual responsibility more than coming up with. So individual. So as in our program, we had that awareness among us. So they can bring in awareness, and they do bring in awareness, but it is an individual responsibility. Penalizing is not the right and the only way, but maybe in future, if it demands, it could come in. So we don't know the future right now.
It's all down to education. So the good thing, so I've got 2 kids, and in school now they're teaching the kids not to throw things away easily. So my boys are always telling me, can we recycle this thing instead of throwing it away? So they have become kind of like a closet hoarder right now. Yeah, so it starts from them then. And the shark fins example, right? That it takes all kinds of people to make this world. So there will always be people who are not abiding, but we shouldn't let them discourage us from doing what we think is right. So we just do our part, and then, like you said, if we can make today a better world for ourselves, it could be also a better world for someone else too. Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you so much for the discussion. Thank you so much to our panelists as well.